You're listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author Sarah Box, where you get the inside scoop on the steps action takers and decision makers take to align their purpose to their principles and achieve their goals in business and life. We focus on the mantra, no labels, no limits, no excuses. Each week, you'll hear from remarkable guests who have overcome challenges and obstacles to succeed in the face of adversity. By listening to their stories, you'll get practical tips, tools, and resources you can implement today to bust through your own internalized prisons of worry and doubt. And now, without further ado, please welcome your commanding coach with plenty of chutzpah and heart, Sarah Box.
Welcome to this episode of the No Labels, No Limits podcast, a podcast all about helping action takers and decision makers like you align their purpose to their principles and achieve their goals in business and life. Hi, I'm Sarah from Sarah Box Coaching and Consulting. I'm an executive coach, former executive director, and best-selling author of The Changemaker Ripple Effect, a book about how one person's drive, purpose, and boldness can impact thousands. And I'm here to tell you that the life you want is possible with the right support, mindset, and strategy. And I am joined once again by my fabulous co-host today, Beck Japovich. Hey, Beck, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm really good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm pretty excited. Folks don't know that before we actually pushed record on this, the three of us, our guest, who we're going to introduce you to in a second here, we were all dealing with various forms of tech issues. So we're in 3 different time zones. We were laughing about it. So obviously we've got grace around us. So I just want to let folks know this will be a fun interview. And on that note, let's just go ahead and meet our guest, Georgia Woodbine. Georgia is a noted author and lifestyle transformation coach. She's recognized as one of the world's top female speakers and experts on personal and professional development, and she's helped to motivate and inspire an entire generation. In fact, you may have heard her speak at Time Warner Cable, Columbia University, Stony Brook University, or in one of the many other network organizations where she receives rave reviews. And I was really moved by this particular review when I read it. I won't read the whole thing because it's long, but it just talks about, or it says, Miss Woodbine is a spiritually centered, extremely engaging, high-impact educator and communicator. And she is able to intelligently pack a wealth of information into a short amount of time. So we're going to put her to her paces today because we have a short amount of time and we want to be moved. But in addition to speaking, she's also been featured on a variety of media, including the Daily News, Huffington Post, Rolling Out Magazine, and on Sirius Radio XM. And that, if that's not enough, she's also authored several books over her career. And today she says she is on a fiery path to help individuals change their mind, aspect leading to change life, live a healthy and balanced life, and stay motivated and passionate about their work. So in this episode, we're going to talk about what she means when she says she's on a fiery path, how and why Georgia created and developed her life-changing system, how her message of hope, inspiration, and the power of intention captures her audiences. We'll see if we have time. I want to dig into a little bit more information about her Total BS Body and Soul book. And she's got a little story to tell us about the Apollo Theater. So now let's welcome our guest, Georgia Woodbine. Hi, Georgia.
Hi, Georgia. How are you guys? Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's so great to have you on the show. But before Beck and I dive into asking you a bunch of questions, we all want to know if there is one non-negotiable ritual or habit that you do daily that keeps you heading towards your big vision.
Absolutely. And that would be meditation. Meditation is so powerful. I started meditating about 15 years ago. When I was going through some really challenging experience, I was dealing with health issues. I was dealing with financial issues. career issues. And, you know, I think that especially now, the timing where people are dealing with so many transitions in their life, it's really good to kind of find that balance. And that's where I found it, in prayer and meditation. And meditation, what it did for me, it created clarity, it created focus, it gave me balance, it gave me new ideas, it made me innovative. It did so many wonderful things, and I saw the transformation once I made that commitment to meditate daily. And so I meditate twice a day. I meditate right before I go to bed and right before, like in the morning when I wake up.
That is an awesome non-negotiable, and something that, you know, reminds me to get back on that bandwagon, because it's all of those things that you said.
So, Georgia,
Absolutely.
I'm curious because, you know, when I talk to folks about meditating, and for myself too, it's really easy to think, well, I just don't have the time, right? Or I'm not doing it right. The things people say about it. What did you just like hop right in and do it twice a day when you started? How did you get into that rhythm?
Well, initially, you know, I think that's the question that a lot of people have. Is there a wrong or right way to meditate? And the answer to that is no. I mean, it's really about just allowing your mind to flow freely without worrying about what you have to do tomorrow, next week, next month, and just kind of like trying to get to a place of relaxation and breathing, because the breathing is what helps you to relax. And so that's a big part of meditation. So for me, I think I started off, I was intimidated about meditation, which I think a lot of people are, because when you don't really know how this can change your life and impact your life, and you see people talk about it, you're like, yeah, right. That's not going to help me, you know. But I started off doing it 5 minutes a day, and then 10 minutes, and then 15 minutes. So I kind of gradually went to the point where I could actually do it for hours now in total silence. You know, I don't need any aids, but initially, when I first started, I needed some type of aid. So one of the things I recommend for people is maybe to use some soundscapes, maybe some nature sounds, maybe if you like classical music or jazz music or whatever it is that's going to get you to that place to relax, just to kind of help you navigate through that process to learn how to meditate. So for me, in the beginning, I used to listen to like nature sounds. I used to listen to water, you know, just the birds, anything that kind of took me out of the place that I was in visually.
Yeah.
Just to get a different visual outlook. And that's what people have to, you know, try to practice, you know, get into a place where it's like you're not really where you are, but just envisioning yourself being on a beach or somewhere where you're relaxed if you're on vacation, or just being in a different place. And then that can kind of help to aid you to getting to that place where you can start to relax and start to free up your thoughts.
Yeah, and there's so many different like guided meditation apps that are free and easy to use, and they're really helpful if you do find that you can't, you know, drop into it from a sound, you know, to follow the guided meditation. Something like Headspace is a really good one. Sarah, what do you use?
You know what? It varies. I will sometimes use like a tape or not a tape, but an audio, right? That I like, especially if when I wake up and like, you ever wake up and everything you want to do that day is like the first thing you're thinking about? I'm going, this is not a smooth way to go, because I just don't want to be in my body. I just want to get going. So then I'll use some like a tool or prop kind of thing, as Georgia was talking about. Sometimes I'll just go outside and sit and listen to the birds and breathe.
Breathe.
But I have to say, I like Georgia's commitment to do it twice a day.
I know.
Yeah, pretty good. So, Georgia, let's go back. How the heck did you get started on everything? And Beck has a special question for you also.
That's right. And, you know, how did you get started? And while we were preparing for this interview, I did see that you have some experience working at the Apollo Theatre. And because, you know, I'm a singer as well. It's very Oprah then, wasn't it? Nah. You know, I'm so curious about, you know, what's the one big lesson that you learned from your time there?
Well, I think, so let me go back a little bit. So when I was in high school, I was always intrigued about the entertainment business. And I just knew like I was going to Hollywood. That's what I told my mom. And so I was determined to get a job in the entertainment industry. So it first started out with me volunteering at the Apollo because I was still in high school. And I ended up working with this publicist that kind of helped me with, like, you know, promoting things. And I actually got in as a volunteer. And so I started doing that. And then after that, I got into working for a radio station as an intern. So I think the thing, like, my internship was while I was in college, it was a free internship. And then I turned it into a paid internship because, I had figured out a way to get paid while I was working there. But I would say one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that don't give up. Because, so many times people told me, no, we don't have anything. No, you have to do this. No, you have to have this experience. No, you have to. And so I think for me, being able to do those things, and even at a young age, I've always been determined. I think I was just born that way. But like in life, sometimes you get discouraged when people tell you no, and you're going to have to learn how to have that thick skin. And it really doesn't matter whether it's entertainment, whether it's your business, whatever it is, you're going to have to learn to have a thick skin. And oh, my throat is dry. Learn to have a thick skin and be willing to keep going, even if people are telling you this is not going to work for you, or you can't have this, or you can't do this, or you can't be that, So that was one of the things that really pushed me to even get the job at the radio station, and even to work at, a place like the Apollo Theater, which was definitely for me, at a young age, being able to have that opportunity. That's when I realized, wow, I can create things. I can make things happen, And so I guess that's where it all started.
Oh, I love that. And I have a very similar story because my background's in entertainment. So I've always had that like determined mindset to achieve that thing that I wanted to do, and worked in radio from an internship and then figured out how to get paid. So, I really relate to that. And you were talking earlier about like getting into the Grammys without a ticket. Talk to us about how your determination helped you get into that experience as well.
Well, okay. So first, I remember seeing myself at the Grammys. That's how it all started. I had a vision, and and this is while I was working in the music business, because I ended up working at this record company. I worked for Mercury Records. I worked for Def Jam Records. And I just kept seeing myself at the Grammys. I saw my dress. I saw what I had on. I saw me talking to people. I even envisioned the people I'd be talking to at the Grammys. So this all started with a vision, okay? So at that point, I remember working with a DJ at Hot 97 Radio in New York. His name was Mr. C. He's actually the person that discovered that huge rap artist, Notorious Biggie Smalls, So he discovered him. And so I remember I was working with him, and I just saw myself there. And I don't know. And then somehow I connected with a A&R rep. I don't know if they call it that still. That's like the people that discover new artists at the record company.
Artisan development kind of thing?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So, so then I connected with someone, and he told me he was going to have a ticket for me, who was actually a record label exec, because I was working in the entertainment. So I had some connections. And so he told me he's going to have a ticket for me. So he says, just go, and I'll have a ticket there for you, whatever. So, I went up with this really beautiful gold dress, sequence, had my hair pinned up, my makeup done, and I was walking down to Radio City.
Oh, yes.
And I remember just feeling like I belonged to be there. And this is like probably in my early 20s. I might have been like 21. And I just knew I belonged to be there. Like, I was like, I'm supposed to be here. So I went up to try to get my ticket at the desk, and they said, oh, we don't have a ticket for you. And I'm calling the guy, the record exec, and he's like not picking up the phone. So I said, okay, I have a choice. Either I could just walk away, or I could try to smoosh myself and say the right things and talk to people and let people know that I belong to be here, and I'm going to make it happen. And so you could imagine the choice that I made.
Which, I think I would make. Absolutely.
So when I went in, the what do you call the security? They said, well, where's your ticket? I'm like, oh, I'm waiting for this person inside. They're coming out. I could go meet them. But I was able to talk my way in. So I talked my way in. I got into the Grammys. I ended up getting a seat at the Grammys. I ended up going to a couple of celebrity parties after that. And it's all about going right back to your mindset and you creating what you want based on how you think. And I think even back then, being so young, I didn't really understand the power of thought. I didn't understand the power of visualization. I didn't understand the power of manifestation, not at that age. But now I do. And even looking back then, I'm like, I was practicing all the things I talk about now. So, affirmations, visualizations, positive talk, positive mindset, and all of these things. And I think that, now when I talk about it, and even just going back to talk about that story, I'm like, wow, I was even practicing this back then. And I didn't even know what all that meant. I had no idea what that meant. And this is what I'm talking about now.
I bet you actually did know. You just didn't know what you knew.
Right.
That's it, Sarah.
Yeah, because you were living it. I
knew you'd have something wise to say.
Well, no, I just love the vision as she's talking and describing it. I just see this young woman walking, strutting her way down in her gold dress, looking fine, and thinking, who would deny her entrance?
Yeah.
So thanks for taking us on that Grammy journey with you. It was really kind of cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
It brought back some memories for me. It's like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked about that story in so many years. So thanks for bringing it up.
Well, it's interesting. You talk about, like, I envision you like walking into the Grammys, being on a path that got you there. But, one of the things that you say is that you are on a fiery path now. What the heck do you mean by fiery path?
I think that what I'm saying is that once you understand your why, you won't feel confused in your life. You won't feel chaos. You won't feel discouraged, depressed, stressed, because it all goes back to, why am I here? I think when you get to a place in your life and you start to ask yourself that question, that's when transformation begins. That's when the real transformation begins. That's when the fire comes alive. That's when your passion is ignited. And that's what it started for me, asking myself, well, why am I here? Why, what should I be doing with my life? What should I be doing with my time? How should I be prioritizing my time? And really looking at how I was able to connect the dots, your gifts, your talents, your natural abilities, your skill set, your education, things that you've learned on your job, how you can take all of these things and make it make sense and connect the dots.
So let me ask you, Georgia, are those, like, when you list out all of those bits and pieces, right? I sometimes think of them as breadcrumbs leading us to who we are and where we're going, or maybe even just leading us back to our true self. But when you started asking that question of, why am I here? Who were you asking that of? Was that just an internal process you did? Were you like working with a coach? Were you asking, your higher self or the divine, whatever? Where were you turning for those answers to, why am I here?
For me, I was turning to God. For me, that's what it was. And I believe because I was going through so much hardship in my life, and I think that especially with what's going on right now, everybody's talking about, what's going on. What's going on is a consciousness level shift. And when you get to a place in life where you lose control, because that's really what it's about. It's about realizing that you really don't have control. And when your back is against the wall and you think you have control, but you really don't have control, and you can't make moves and you can't do the things you used to do, then you're forced to think differently. You are forced to change the way you think. There's no way around it. And for me, it was going through that pain in my life of wanting change so bad, dealing with being a single mom, dealing with losing my job, dealing with losing my home, just going through health issues. All of those things is what pushed me to really find out who is true self. Who is Georgia Woodbine? Who am I really? No, not the person that I've gotten this title on the job. No, not this person that's labeled me my mom. She gave me this name when I was a child. No, not, not this person I am, a label, a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend, a confidant. No, none of those things. But who am I? Who am I really? What's underneath all of those labels? I love the title of your show because it's really about how we allow people to label us and not take the moment out to find out, well, who am I? What's going to make me happy? What's going to make me feel good? What's going to make me shine? What's going to make me want to share my gifts and talents with other people to make a difference in the world? And that's really how it came about for me.
I love that. I can so relate to many aspects of that story about, the existential crises of growing up, and then like really unpacking all the masks and all the layers to get to the heart of who you are and how you want your legacy to be left, after you're gone. Like, how do you want to make your impact in the world? I think that like once you get clear on that, like you said, then your life is so much more joyful, and you just get to forge your fiery path, like you said. What do you think, Sarah?
Well, I do think that as you were talking, both of you, that whole piece about stripping away the labels, and thank you for liking the name, because that's actually exactly what it means, Georgia. It was not just the labels people put on us and the limits they put on us, but then those that we internalize and put on ourselves and believe them, right? Like, oh, I have to be this nice person or this person or that person, or I'm an executive, whatever. They start to hem us in when inside we have that deeper calling about why am I here? And then if we get too bounded by that, we won't step outside of that because we feel the cost, whatever it is too high. Like we don't want to lose friendships or status or whatever. So I think, Georgia, when you said, when your back is against the wall, there's nowhere to go but to do that work. It's almost sometimes one of the most freeing places to be, because it's like you got nothing to lose. So why don't you just be who you are?
Absolutely. One of the things I've been talking about, what's been going on with Corona, is like you could choose to make this this situation paralyze you, or you could choose to make it liberate you, because there's so many good things coming out of this. I know people can't see it right now. There's going to be a lot of great stories that's going to be told about how people was able to really find themselves and self-reflect and really go to dig deeper to a deeper part of themselves, to realize that what you thought was important, what you thought was going to make you happy, what you thought was going to make you fulfilled is not necessarily so. There's a lot more. And so, so many great things are coming from this. I'm not saying that there's a lot of heartbreaking things not coming from this, but I think that especially it's so crucial at this time, especially at this time, for people to be mindful of their thoughts, of what they're allowing themselves to think. You can't control what's happening outside. You can't control what's happening around you. But the one thing that you have control of is the way you think. You have control of your mindset.
Tired of feeling stuck and ending with the same result? Want to know how Sarah can help you with one-on-one or organizational coaching? Then book your free discovery call at sarahbox.com/contact. Now, back to the show.
And there's been so many conversations I've had with friends and colleagues that have echoed that, and they've really, really enjoyed this time where they've got to reflect, connect back with their kids and their family and community, and so many of my friends are going, I just really love this time. It's just been really, really nice. And to go back to the hustle and bustle of what it was before is not making sense.
So let me ask you, ladies, do you expect that people, in this moment when we remember those things, right? And then we're going, I don't want to go back to that, or in the same way, right? But then it can be so seductive, because then as soon as things happen and people go, oh, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? And you're going, oh, sure. It doesn't take long until you're back in those patterns. So Georgia, when you're working with folks and you're helping them get clear about their why and their path forward and their mindset, how do you help folks stay grounded in their own why and what they choose to put into their life?
Well, as you were saying before, I don't think things are going to go back to the way they were. I really don't. I think that there's definitely going to be a lot of change in people, their perception. I think it's going to be a change in how people approach things. Because we are creatures of habit, right? We tend to do things in a habitual way, right? But I think that once people understand that you can't change what you don't confront, okay? So in order to change anything in your life, like you were saying before, you have to face it head on. You have to confront it. You have to say, this is what I need to change. This is how I'm going to change it. It doesn't have to be an immediate thing. You can take action steps. You can put a plan in place. Even like Rebecca was saying about her friends, is saying, I like this. I don't know if I want to go back to the norm. The norm wasn't serving me. The norm didn't make me feel good. The norm didn't make me happy. The norm didn't make me feel like I was connecting with friends and family. So now you have confronted an issue that you never even knew was there. You confronted it now. So now you confronted it, you can say, okay, well, what can I do differently? What can I do differently in my life? How can I take those steps? And part of it is setting goals for yourself. And not just setting goals. One of the things I talk about, especially with my clients, is to create a mission statement for your life. People hear people create mission statements for companies, for non-for-profits, for organizations, corporations. But we should have a mission statement for our life. Why? Because when you have a mission statement for your life, it helps you to make sense of everything that you do, everything that you participate in, everything that you're in a part of, everything that you make a decision with. It starts to make sense. It's like, okay, this is my mission. So why am I spending time doing this? Or why am I doing that? Or why am I, now you have something to keep you focused. You have something that you're aspiring to do. And now what people must understand, that your mission is not just about you. Your mission is about serving others, because now it's bigger than you. It's a bigger cause. And anytime you enter something that's within your purpose with a mission that's bigger than you, you don't have to chase it. You don't have to force it. You don't have to try to find it. You don't have to go through a million doors trying to figure out, well, which one is my door? Because you're aligned. And when you're aligned mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, now you know your why. Now,
amen. This is, so true.
It comes together. It connects. The dots connect.
The dots do connect. And I was just marveling that I do have a personal mission statement as well as one for the work I do in the world. They're pretty linked, actually, in terms of being congruent. But you're so right that when you're working in it and you're aligned, it works. It just kind of works. And I just like to say that's how come you showed up, Miss Georgia and Miss. Oh
yeah,
meant to be. So, but you know what, that made me want to talk about, if you're open to kind of moving on to talking a little bit more about your book, Total BS, which is Body and Soul. I think you have such a holistic approach to what you're doing, across the board, but you also talk, or the book is referred to as having a refreshing approach to the basic principles. So what makes the approach, kind of different and refreshing from what the typical stuff that we hear is?
It's because it's Georgia.
I know. Is it Georgia, I want to know, did you do an audio recording of it? Because if you did not, you need to.
Well, Total BS, and Total BS, that's the name of the book, Total BS, and BS stands for body and soul. And so when I came about that book, it was more about, okay, get exercising, getting fit, but just getting fit for life, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So Total BS is really about finding one's true self and peeling away, like we were talking about before, peeling away life's preconceived notions of who we think we are, and removing those layers of self-doubt that prevent us from living a happier and healthier lifestyle. Now, living a healthier lifestyle is not just about losing weight. It's about how you feel on the inside. It's not just about the outside. And so that's when I decided to write that book, and really to talk about all of those things, about it, not just, you know, wanting to change the way you look on the outside, but wanting to work on what's on the inside. And when you think about getting fit for life, it's not just about one thing. You know, my conception of fitness goes way beyond losing weight or maintaining a healthy weight. It's about interconnection of mind, body, and soul, and how when you allow it to become an alignment, then you can explore new pathways of inner peace and experience living a more fulfilling lifestyle. So that's what that book is about. You know, it's about finding that path, that going on that journey to a happier and healthier you.
So is it a workbook or a journey book? How, like, say I'm reading it, how do I experience the book?
Well, I started out with dealing with asking yourself these hard questions that we sometimes avoid. You know, what do I have in my life right now that's not serving me? You know, I have different lists in there. I go through different steps, and really confronting those hard questions that sometimes we don't want to deal with. Like, a lot of times you'll hear people say, you know what, I don't like this job. It's just stressing me out. It's making me so frustrated. Or, you know what, this relationship, I just don't know where it's going. But yet all of these things that's not working for them, somehow they're still complaining about it. They're still not happy about it, but yet they still keep, you know, being in this situation. So I kind of break it down and say, okay, what are the things in your life that you want to change? Or even, what is that one big thing that you want to change? Because if you could start with that one big thing, then you can work on everything else. Because as I said before, transformation is about mindset. It doesn't matter if you want to lose weight. It doesn't matter if you want to meet the perfect mate. It doesn't matter if you want to start a new job. It doesn't matter if you want to start a new business. It's about what you believe about yourself and what you believe you can change and create. And so that's what I tackle in the book. And I go through different stages, and not just that part aspect of it, but also about, you know, setting goals for yourself, and how to set goals, and how not to get discouraged by those goals, and how to, you know, take that time out to work on yourself, because you can't change something if you're not willing to do the work. And so, especially with my clients doing life coaching, I combat all of those things, all of those feelings, all of those emotions. What is it that's making you feel depressed? What is it that's making you feel unhappy? And then also thinking about, well, what are the things that make me feel good? What are the things that make me feel happy? What are the things I enjoy? And really lasering on those feel good experiences, and figuring out, well, how can we, you know, reconstruct what's going on in your life so that you can feel more of these emotions opposed to these emotions, and lay it out that way.
So when people have a list of things that aren't working in their life for them, do you focus on adding in the things that they want to go after and replacing those, or do you actually work at deconstructing the things that aren't working well?
Well, I guess I would describe it as, I would work on the things that's not working for them, and then figure out what's blocking them, and try to remove that block. Try to figure out, what is it that's stopping you from overcoming this situation? What is it that's holding you back from making this decision? And really tackling it from that standpoint, because I think when they can confront what's blocking them, then they can get more of a clear path of what they need to work on first. So I always start there. Well, okay, what's blocking you? What is it that's stopping you from moving to the next step with the situation? Or what is it that you fear, why you can't go in this direction, or you can't make this decision? And once we start to dissect those things, and they can confront those things, then we move to each step, depending on what it is.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice. And like, a lot of the times, I know in my personal experience, it's because, you know, I've got misinformation, or I'm working off an old belief, or I just don't have enough of the gaps filled to make an informed decision. Or make that, you know, emotional step forward. And so it's really powerful to figure out that stuff.
Absolutely.
So as we come to the end of this and we're wrapping it up, I have two requests of you, because I can imagine someone listening to this and going, okay, I want to get going. I haven't bought the book yet. I haven't even been able to check Georgia out yet. So if I'm a listener and I'm thinking, yep, I've got to get going on this right now, can you give me one or two practical steps I can do in the next 20 minutes that it's going to start at least getting me anchored and on the way down this path?
Sure. So the three things I would say is, one, create a mission statement for your life. My mission statement is what drives me every day. And I'll give an example of what Georgia Woodbine's mission statement is. So I, Georgia Woodbine, am here to empower, inspire, and motivate 1 million plus people to transform their mindset, to change their lives, transform their lives. So that's my mission statement. So it could be short, brief, to the point, but whatever it is to you, it has to be your mission statement. 2, prioritize your life based on what's important to you and make time for the things that's more important to you. Don't allow people to monopolize your time. Don't allow people to pull you in different directions. Focus on what's important to you. 3, set goals with an end result in mind and track your progress. And if you don't meet your goal at the time frame that you put in place, it's okay. Just reorganize it. And don't get distracted or frustrated or discouraged because you haven't met that goal. So those are just 3 things that I could say that people could put in place. But I do want to share something really quick, like a quick exercise that people could do. Now, I want to share this exercise with your audience. And what they should do is place an empty glass on their nightstand. And in that glass, place a blank 3x5 index card and a pencil, to remind themselves to get started each day with an empty glass. When the glass is the mind, right, is full, preconceived knowledge and prejudices, you don't have room in your life to consider new ideas, new concepts, and issues that come by. So the mind, the empty glass, is for new ideas. And so what's going to happen is you're going to be able to welcome change with this empty glass, which is the symbol. So approach each day seeking to find 10% of what you know to be fact that needs to be updated. Now, the glass represents the mind. The 3x5 index card represents your ideas. And the pencil represents your vision, which can be rewritten, reinvented, and redirected at any time.
Oh, I love that. Oh, it's so good. It's such a good symbol. I'm getting my glass today.
I know. When you were talking, George, I envisioned, okay, which glass would I like? How big should I make that glass? I totally got wrapped up in the weeds of it. I'm going, oh, I see the glass. Yeah.
Yeah.
I already have the index card and the pen already up there. So that's.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be a beautiful glass for our beautiful minds, ladies.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Georgia, I know you have a gift for everybody listening. If you would share that and how folks can get your 5 secrets, then I think we'll just kind of close out after that with a couple of messages.
Okay. So the free gift that I want to share with your audience is called the 5 Secrets to Turn Your Passion into Profits. Now, I want to make people understand it's not just about money. It's not just about making money. It's about your motivation for your success. And so in this guide, I break down the most important things, the 5 secrets that you need to get on that path to turn your passion into profits. Also, while you're doing that, you're serving others. Always remember that. So go to www.georgiawoodbine.com. When you go to the website, it's going to ask you for your name and your email. And once you put that in, I will be sending you your free guide.
That's so generous. So generous. So, okay, folks, here's my ask of you. Think about all the great information Georgia just shared with us. Think about someone who you wished had heard this at the same time. Someone in your life you're thinking, oh my God, they were just waiting for this message. We are asking you to go out and either share this immediately right now while you're on the podcast. Just go ahead and hit the share button. Send it to someone you know would benefit. And once you've done that, we would really appreciate you going and leaving a review, telling us how much you love Georgia, what she offered to you, feedback on the show. But our goal is to get this out to as many people who would benefit from as possible, because similar to Georgia's, my mission statement also has a huge number in it also. So we want to reach as many people as possible so that people can lead a no labels, no limits, sky's the limit and beyond life. So with that, ladies, thank you so much for a great afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You've been listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author, change agent, and strategic vision coach, Sarah Box. You can grab the show notes and find out how to work with Sarah at sarahbox.com/No Labels, No Limits podcast. We'd love this podcast to reach as many people as possible. So please remember to rate, leave a 5-star review, and share the podcast with someone you think would get value from this conversation. Until next time, keep taking those daily action steps to align your purpose to your principles and achieve your goals in business and life.